Hello, hello. My name is Aisha Harley, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the Visionary Leaders Community Podcast, where we honor the gifts of the earth and dive deep into wellness solutions using essential oils and other medicinal plants. If you would like to learn about all of our community offerings, please visit www.hellovisionary.life. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and we would be so grateful if you would take the time to give us a 5-star rating on this podcast. We have incredible topics each week, so make sure to join us and bring your friends. Today, we are talking about how to utilize essential oils to keep you safe, happy, and healthy while enjoying the outdoors this summer. Whether you are hiking, camping, or on a road trip, you will learn what oils are a must for your summer keychain kit and how to best use them. If you are new to essential oils and doTERRA, please know by the end of this call, you will know the 3 cool things about essential oils, the 3 ways to use essential oils, why doTERRA is set apart from the rest, and how to get these beautiful oils into your home at the best price. Dr. Josie, are you ready to introduce our guests?
I am. Thank you, Aisha. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Josie Schmidt, naturopathic physician, Blue Diamond here with our team. And I am so happy to announce and introduce these 2 ladies who are with us today. I think I can I say that they're badass ladies? I don't know. I think I can. Okay. Yeah. Aaron says yes. Good. They are. They're like right in it. We're going to be talking about traveling and camping and extreme sports. And like Haylie just came off the trail. She's still all dusty and stuff. And Nikki is actually traveling right now. Let me tell you a little bit about these women. So Haylie Jones is a fitness, health, and nature enthusiast. She has a background in education and psychology, mental adaptation, and the outdoors. Haylie helps people take control of their physical, emotional, and nutritional needs by reconnecting them with their natures. Transformation and healing is her passion, and her biggest joy is seeing the joy in others. Essential oils have truly become an integral part of her mission to get everyone she can outdoors and to experience more joy than they ever had. And I can attest to this. We probably will talk about it on this. I went for my first time since I was like 8 years old, deep backpacking with Haylie last year, and it was amazing. And let me introduce Nikki. So Nikki is an ERYT teacher, 500, maybe you'll have to tell us what that is, Nikki, teacher who has been teaching. What I do know is that she's been teaching yoga across the US and internationally since 2003, with students ranging from professional athletes to cancer patients. She's formerly been trained in aerial, Kripalu, Vinyasa, and pre and postnatal yoga. Nikki is also a certified yoga nidra, which is a guided meditation teacher, a mindset master coach, and a cancer exercise specialist. She is also an essential oil educator and program director for Tiffany Peterson's coaching team. So ladies, if you haven't already unmuted yourself, please join us. They are here with us today. We've been pre-talking a little bit. And I don't know if I mentioned Nikki's last name is Dean. Sorry about that. Sometimes I get going. It's Nikki Dean. I just introduced you as Nikki. So we talked about this, and Nikki, are you gonna kind of set us off first? They have 3 kits that they wanted to really distill down into these amazing keychains, which we're going to show you, which are the cutest things on earth, and everyone who doesn't have one is going to want one. And it's for traveling. And so it's like a mini kit of oils that you want to take with you. And so we have 3 of these today, and Nikki's going to start us off with the first one, which is about traveling. So like, what do you need in a travel survival kit?
Thank you, Josie. It's such an honor to be here. And I'm so grateful for all of you who are here live with us, or if you're listening to the podcast or watching the recording. As Josie mentioned, I am traveling right now. And if you have just started your essential oil journey, or you're well into your essential oil journey, you would know you do not leave home without your oils, because when you're traveling, it's such precious time, whether you're going for pleasure or business, or maybe even for family. Maybe it's something harder that you're dealing with. you're going to need your oils. And so, but sometimes we don't want to carry extra weight. And so the keychains that Josie mentioned, and I'll show you for those of you who are watching, right? This is what they look like, and they hold 8 oils. If you're listening to the podcast, please make sure to head over to hellovisionary.life and register for our email, and then we'll send you all the memes, all the recipes, all the protocols that we're sharing today. But what's so brilliant about this little keychain is you can carry 8 oils in there, and you can fit in these 1 or 2 ounce bottles, and that it can hold anywhere 30, 40 drops of oil. So it might look small, but there's a lot in there. And some oils that I absolutely would never leave home without, right? It's the hardest question when people say, pare it down to 8, right? Might sound like a lot, it goes quickly. But number 1 is On Guard. Now, I actually start my On Guard usage before I even start to travel. So if you have advanced notice that you're traveling, start to boost your body's natural immune response by putting On Guard on your feet or a drop under your tongue, just in the days leading up. And then once you start traveling, getting on an airplane, you're in a small space with a lot of people, having that extra immune boost is not only peace of mind in that moment, but that you can enjoy your vacation or your holiday or wherever you're going. And then, of course, you have to have a citrus oil. So I usually travel with lemon. And, you know, one of the things is you go through an airport or you're traveling around. Hopefully, you're bringing yourself a water bottle with you. If you have a stainless steel or a glass water bottle that you can travel with. If you're in an airport, have you ever tasted airport water, right? It's not the best, but you can go through with an empty bottle, fill your bottle in the airport and put a couple of drops of lemon oil in there, and it purifies the water as well as helps with that taste. And as I mentioned, I'm traveling right now. I'm in Encinitas, which is in San Diego, California. And I have to tell you, their water here does not taste good. Even the filtered water that we're drinking from the fridge. So I'm putting my citrus oils in there all day long to make sure that I still stay hydrated, because when something doesn't taste good, right, we don't drink it. So your lemon oil, and then of course, lemon is great for so many other things. It's that uplifting as well, and that gentle detox for your gut to keep things moving so that you have healthy elimination while you're traveling and can stay healthy and vibrant. Now, the next oil that I would put in there is Balance oil. So Balance is our grounding blend. And, you know, when you're traveling, you get off your regular schedule, you can have chaos and you can have jet lag if you're flying to someplace in a different time zone. Putting a little bit of Balance on your feet at night or on the back of your neck, that can really help you to stay grounded, stay centered, stay focused. Now, another oil in there is tea tree oil. So tea tree oil is great for any kind of bug bites. So you'll find we have lavender and tea tree both in there. And they're both good for bug bites, but also good for cuts and scrapes and blisters, right? Little skin irritations, anything like that. And anything with feet or nails, right? You get a hangnail a little bit. And one of the things you might not know about tea tree oil, but it's an analgesic, which means it can help stop or reduce pain. So that can be a really handy oil to have around. Now, lavender, I mentioned as well. Lavender, the Swiss Army knife of essential oils. You can use that for sunburns. You can use that for bug bites. You can use that for head tension. You can use that for restful sleep, right? When you're traveling, you might not have the quiet, you might not have the right pillow, right? You might not have the right sleeping environment, and this can help you find some peace and calm. And again, if you're traveling maybe for a reason that's not so wonderful, that can also be really soothing for the emotions. Of course, you have to have frankincense. If you don't know, frankincense is the king of all oils. When in doubt, use frankincense. So we like to bring frankincense for grounding and calmness, also for anything with skin, whether it's you've got too much sun or if you're getting some kind of breakout, exposed to something that irritates your skin, you can mix. And we're going to put up there, we have a recipe here for what I call owie spray, which is tea tree, frankincense, and lavender. You put 10 drops of each of those oils in a 2-ounce spray bottle. You add 1 ounce of witch hazel, 1 ounce of water. You can bring the empty spray bottle with you and make this when you go somewhere. And then, especially if you've got little kids, you get any kind of cuts or scrapes, use that owie spray. So we've got a meme for that also. So again, if you're not watching the webinar and you're listening to our podcast, just head over to hellovisionary.life, register, and we'll send you these memes. But then let's move on to peppermint, right? Peppermint oil is wonderful for energy. It's wonderful for cooling the body. You can use it for head tension. You can use it for focus. And you can also add that into an after sun spray, which is another recipe that I like to travel with, especially if you're going somewhere and you're going to be in the sun and it's the summertime, maybe you get too much sun. You can make this after sun spray, and it's just 10 drops each of frankincense and lavender, 5 drops of peppermint, 5 drops of helichrysum. Now, helichrysum is a bonus oil. If you don't know about helichrysum, it is one that you want to have in your, Haylie's going to talk about that in our adventure kit, but it's a really valuable oil to have, really great for the skin. And mix that with a 1/2 ounce of fractionated coconut oil, 1 ounce of witch hazel, and 2 ounces of water. And this can be the difference between a happy day and a ruined day, right? After being in the sun. And so those are our 8. Oh, sorry, I almost forgot. We have one more oil in our 8 oils is Digestzen, right? So Digestzen, I call this the magic oil. Whatever direction you need digestive help in, Digestzen is your friend. But even if you don't have digestive issues, quite often when we travel, we get off of our natural rhythm. And I love to just have that Digestzen and put a little drop under my tongue every morning, every evening, to keep myself regular when I'm traveling so that I don't have to deal with bloating or stomach aches. And again, it also helps with your immune system as you keep things moving through your gut. So those are our 8 oils that I managed to pare down into my little kit. And then I've got a few bonus oils that I recommend. If you are next level, you've been at this for a little while, you might also bring along some fractionated coconut oil. I just take a little empty bottle and I fill it with fractionated coconut oil, like a 1 or 2 ounce bottle. And I keep that in my toiletries bag. And that way you have that you can mix with anything that you need, and you always have a carrier for your skin. The On Guard hand sanitizing mist is a must have, right? Because you can't always wash your hands, and maybe you're exposed to a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of places. Keeps the hands and the germs away. And then the final one I'll add to that is DDR Prime soft gels. Now, this might be one that you might not know about, but DDR Prime is one of the best ones that I like to use for that extra immune support when I've been exposed to things. But it can also help if you've had an injury or an accident. Wonderful for soothing and for cellular support and to help you recover a bit quicker. So that's pretty much my summer travel kit, along with those few extra sprays that I would bring along.
Oh, thank you, Nikki. That is fantastic. I love that tip of already creating your kind of coconut oil ready to go for mixing and using them, because a lot of times people forget that. All right, so let's bring Haylie in on the conversation, and I think you guys are both going to kind of start breaking down camping. You know, when you go camping, you really don't want to lug a lot of stuff, and these bottles are like 15 mils, and then there's 5 mils, and you're like, but I want a lot of things, and it gets, I still like schlepping a big old case of stuff usually. So they're going to tell us the dirty down deep secrets of like, use this oil, not this oil, like what are the ones you really need? How do you use them in a little keychain?
Awesome. Yeah, this is super exciting. So Nikki and I'll tag team the camping one, and I'm going to dive into extreme adventurism because that's really my wheelhouse. Camping, there's different types of camping, right? You can camp out of your car, which most people do, or Erin's got her awesome trailer that I'm sure has like a sidecar attached with all the oils that go with it. So when I go camping, typically I think about the things that I'm going to be concerned with before I go. So things that I think about when I'm camping are bugs. I always think about bugs. There's mosquitoes, there's flies, there's horse flies. Depending on where you are, there's like straight up bugs. So if you're not a camper, just know that there's going to be bugs if you go camping anywhere. Bugs are a thing. Always sunburn. You like sit outside. There's like the extreme campers that do all the things like me. When we go camping, we're picking a destination to camp so that we can go do all the things in that area, including hiking, mountain biking, paddleboarding, whatever that is. Or people go camping to relax, right? They sit and they hang and they're out at the fire, or they're out just chatting at the picnic table, playing cornhole, and you're in the sun all the time. So sunburn is a huge concern when you go camping. I also think about things like elevation. You get chapped lips, you get super dry everywhere you camp that's anywhere west or east of where I am from in California, but a lot of places that people camp, they go to the mountains. So I'm sure if you're camping at the beach, it's not that big of a concern, but chapped lips, because you probably don't hydrate or think about that as much because you're busy camping and doing fun stuff. So think about getting chapped lips. We're going to handle that. And then the other thing I think about is digestive stuff, because when I go camping, everybody either overindulges or they eat stuff they don't normally eat. You like eat the fun things and the s'mores and you overeat, or somebody's like, I'm going to bring this meal and that meal, and you coordinate and you haven't had it. And it's like, it's rough going. Okay. They don't always have nice bathrooms at campgrounds. So like, let's save you a little bit here. And then there's a few other things like allergies and respiratory things, but that's what I do before I go anywhere, is I think about what might I encounter when I'm on this adventure versus like what oils I might need, because it kind of shifts a little bit. So those are the kind of things that we think about. So I bring, Nikki, you probably can weigh in on this, but I always bring lavender. Lavender is one that you're going to use for the mosquitoes. We call them muzzies. Get out of here, little muzzies. So those things, bug bites, second you get that on there, it's like no big deal. I used to like have these welts all over and like dots everywhere. And I'm like a crazy, if they're buzzing around me, it's the only thing that actually gets my goat. I like lose my mind. And so lavender has saved me every time, because I'm like, whatever, muzzies, lavender is going to get you. So I use lavender constantly for that. And that's the same one you're going to use if you are exposed to the sun. You get your sunburn. It's like magic for that. And if you, for some reason, get your lips sunburned, does this happen to anybody? It feels like they're chapped, like dying, you're dying. Lavender on the lips can help with that. So I do lavender on my lips with a little bit of chapstick, and that's like amazing for that. Nikki, do you want to talk about the next one you might bring on the camping list? Because I want to go back and forth with you on this one, because we're both total camper addicts.
Yeah. One of the things that I think about when I go camping is sleeping on uneven surfaces sometimes, and also carrying like backpacks, even if it's a day pack, and sitting around a campfire, right? You're sitting on logs, right? Like being in these different positions, you're very likely to get sore, right? So deep blue is one that I love to put in the keychain so that you can massage on any, and also it's not uncommon to stub your toe, to bump into things and get bruises, right? So having that deep blue there, it can just be so soothing and comforting. Another one that I love to bring, Haylie, is breathe oil. Breathe is, you're spending a lot of time outdoors, and sometimes you're going to a climate that you're not used to, with plants that you're not used to, and maybe you've never experienced allergies before that you might experience when you're in a new place. And when you're outdoors, there's no escape. There's no even going inside. So having that breathe oil, I even bring my little pilot diffuser with me, and I can charge it right in the car and then have it in the tent at night with that breathe oil. And that can be the difference between a restful night's sleep or not a restful night's sleep. We talked about peppermint in the travel kit, but those little black crawly things that come around when you're outdoors, some have 6 legs, some have 8 legs, right? Spiders and ants. they don't care for peppermint oil. And if you ever want to try a little fun experiment, put a drop of, if you have ants around you, put a drop of peppermint on a Q-tip and draw a square. Okay, I'm sorry, PETA, no animals are harmed in doing this, but draw a little square around the outside of where that critter is, and you'll watch. That critter will not pass over the line. They do not care for peppermint, so that can keep them away from you. Another one that I love, now this doesn't fit in your keychain, but it's absolutely worth having in your first aid kit, is the Doterra Mud Mask. Because if you get stung by a bee, nothing will soothe it as well as that mud mask. And if you've ever been stung by a bee, it gets hot, right? And swollen. And you can have, like, if you get stung on your arm, your whole arm can ache. And what a way to ruin a day. So having that mud mask will turn it around right away. And then the two other ones I want to mention. We've talked a lot about bugs, right? So do you all know about the Terra Shield? So Terra Shield comes as an essential oil blend, but for camping, personally, I love to get the pre-made Terra Shield spray. It's a bug repellent spray, and you can spray it on your body. You can even spray it like on your clothes around you, and that will help you avoid some of those bites. And the On Guard hand wipes are a wonderful thing to keep in your backpack or in your first aid kit, because you don't always have access to washing your hands. And having those wipes is really great and simple way to not just clean your hands, but get all those germs off as well. What have I missed, Haylie? What else do you bring?
Well, I just want to cover two more specifically for camping. So I'm not so concerned about weight when I'm camping out of my car, because my car has a larger weight capacity than I do. So I have kind of a specific box area in the back that doesn't, like, it's not cumbersome. It doesn't take up a lot of space, but it has full bottles of things, because I tend to use a lot more oils with the people that I'm camping with than just myself, because it ends up being you camp with groups or friends or families. And sometimes my little keychain won't handle the capacity of people. I'm on the end of bring a lot of bottle oils, because sometimes I just don't have enough in the keychain, but I take all of those ones that are in the full-size bottles in the keychain for the adventures during the day that I go on when I'm camping. So if I go on my paddleboard, I'm not taking all those oils. I have a keychain that clips onto my dry bag. Or when I go mountain biking, all of those same oils are in my pack so that it's not a lot of weight to carry, but then I can replenish them at the campsite if I ran out of them, either on the paddleboard or on the mountain bike ride or the hike or whatever. So I like to do that because I don't like oil anxiety. Like, I don't want to be like, dang it, I'm out of something and I need it now. Like, hate that feeling. So there's some oils that I feel like full bottles are necessary for, some of the ones that I had mentioned. And then I love to bring frankincense, and I love to bring lemon. So frankincense is like the when in doubt, always have frankincense. It's going to soothe any joint irritation. It's going to help with elevation sickness. It's going to help with headaches. It's going to do a lot of things for sleep and support. That's just like, don't go anywhere without it. Like, you might not always need it, but you're going to love it when you have it. You have to use it. And then lemon, stuff is dirty at campgrounds. Like, it's dirty when you're camping. You just have to, like, if you're a camper, you know this, we're like dirty people. Like, and we like it. It's like a good dirty. And so lemon can help with like the stickiness of anything, get it off of there. It's just wildly effective. So we bring lemon to get sticky things off. We use it for detoxing if we're eating funky things. That's one for sure. And then Erin just chatted in that Correct-X is absolutely a must, and you are not wrong. Correct-X will save your life in so many scenarios. So that's like your bonus. So if we just want to highlight, I'll just give you like the rundown for camping. We're talking like car camping. You have room to schlep your crap in your car. So we've got lavender. We're going to bring some tea tree in case somebody gets cut or you bite your lip, you get a canker sore, any of those things. Tea tree is just like your first aid. It has to be there. Deep blue, lemon, your breathe, frankincense, your peppermint. And then your bonus items are going to be your Terra Shield spray, which I feel like is just a necessary spray, but next level, always bring Terra Shield, bring your On Guard wipes, and bring your mud mask. And if you have space, bring your fractionated coconut oil, because that's going to be something that's really important. I always have like coconut oil packets that I take with me camping, because I like to cook. Like, we fish a lot and we catch trout and we cook them. So I have like extra coconut oil pouches with me. So I don't tend to bring that FCO, but it's a good one to have because God forbid you're at the campsite and you get some peppermint somewhere you don't want it. The ants also don't like it, but the eyeballs don't like it either. So don't get peppermint in your eye, have some dilution with you. So that's our camping one. Josie, do you want to ask me specific about extreme adventure?
Can I throw one more thing in there, Haylie, before you move to extreme adventure?
Please.
Okay, so I know, again, those of you watching the podcast, just we have these travel. So if you have done any of the wellness programs through doTERRA, the relief kit, the digestive kit, the mind and mood kit, right? They have the programs. The first month comes with a little neoprene case. And these are so great for travel because you can fit, you know, sometimes when you have all these little things in your bag and they're flying around, right? You can fit your keychain in there. You can fit your extra oils in there. And one thing that I like to do is I don't want to carry all my supplements. So I have these little bags, you know, you can get, I happen to have these from a challenge that I did. They're plastic, but I take out all my supplements. Like I'm traveling, here's my On Guard Plus, here's my Microplex VMZ. Here, you can do out your daily supplements, or I like to have mine in separate pouches because sometimes I might feel like I need an extra dose of something, and that way I have it prepared. And then the whole thing fits in here and it weighs almost nothing. So that's one other tip I just wanted to tuck in there.
Oh, that's great. So for everyone who is listening, we have a super awesome slide that's a meme here that lists all of this, and this will be in our email that we send out every Wednesday after the call. So definitely go to our website of hellovisionary.life and sign up for a weekly email, and you will get all these goodies. People who are on the Zoom right now, you can take pictures of this, take a screenshot. So Haylie, we're going to move on from, we have a list of the camping ones and the travel ones, and kind of what I see from these. When people start with doTERRA, there's ways to start where you get a wholesale account, it's a discount, it's wonderful, and there's certain kits. And so these really come within some of our favorite starting packages for people with the oils, right? The Aroma Touch kit, I think we'll talk about this at the end, and the Home Essentials are two of the ones where these always all fit in there. But now we go to this extreme adventure situation, and there's some interesting trade outs. And this was like having this conversation. And when you hang out with Haylie, you're out in the total backpacking wilderness for her, and she uses some really interesting things that are a little bit different, right? And I love that. And so these are some really specific tips from her, y'all. So I would say let's really listen to these trade outs.
Yeah, thanks, Josie. So you know this because you've been with me in the extreme wilderness, but in the extreme wilderness, you are not an easy walk to getting a replenishment of any of these things. So I always am very prepared with the things that I can't live without. And sometimes I bring full bottles of things into the backcountry because I'm most of the time in 10 miles from my vehicle with 35 to 40 pounds on my back. And so I'm not moving as fast as I would be if I didn't have weight on my back. So things that are of concern, if you guys are backpackers or long day hikers, or you have kids and you end up doing a long day hike, you're carrying like all their snacks and all their things and all their water and all the layers that you need to, you end up having a lot more weight on your back than you're used to. And so that just happens to be the way of it when you're doing either long hikes or backpacking trips. I'm an extreme backpacker. I backpack for multiple days at a time. I love having the luxuries in the backcountry. I like to say that if it saves your sanity, it's worth the wait. So essential oils save my sanity, bottom line. So there are things that I trade out, like an extra sports bra for my On Guard. So those are things that it's a worthy trade for me if I'm going to be doing something in the backcountry. So things that are of like, the first concern is weight. Everything adds up when you're hiking and when you're backpacking. Even the smallest thing, you're like, it'll be fine. I'm just going to bring this extra little tea tree. And then by the end of it, you're like, geez, it's 60 pounds. It's like half my body weight. So you end up, it adds up. So just trust me on the things that you bring in the keychain and things that you bring that are full bottles. So weight is a concern. Like I weigh things in ounces. When I'm buying a tent, I'm looking at something that's ounces and not pounds. So weight, mosquitoes are always a thing. I always backpack in the Sierras. I backpack to high alpine lakes. I'm always in high elevation. I'm always near bodies of water. Mosquitoes are a thing, like way more than any campground you've ever experienced. It is like the witching hour twice a day. And you have to like time it so that you don't get murdered out there. So for certain, I'm taking things for bug bites and for mosquito repellent. So I'm taking that Terra Shield spray as a bonus item, and I'm taking lavender because you will. It's not if you get bit by a mosquito. It's like when you get bit by a mosquito.
And can I say here, you guys, in my experience, lavender, but then I'm like that pinky Irishy skin. Like I need peppermint on top of that to help with the itching. From like a lot of the times, I know that's just a tip, and it's in the list. So it's like I sometimes start with lavender, and if it's still itching, lay your peppermint on top. Do you ever do that for?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a super great tip. Sometimes you just need to bring in the heavy hitter because there's like crazy genetically modified alpine mosquitoes out there sometimes, and they get you. So that is for sure. You're going to have your lavender with you. Lavender is one of the ones that I bring a full bottle of because it's not just me, it's everyone that gets bit by mosquitoes. So lavender is that one, but we're also, because we're at high elevation, you're a lot more sensitive to the sun. It's a lot more extreme. You get sunburned a lot quicker. So we're using lavender a lot for sunburn, and we're using it for blisters because we're hiking in our boots all day, every day. You're like, you basically live in your hiking boots. And so that's something that I'm using as prevention where I know there's hot spots. And then also if I'm getting a blister forming, it's really helpful to put lavender on it. So I use lavender for that. The other things that I'm concerned about is when I'm in elevation, not just the sensitivity to the sun, but also when you're in high elevation, you get elevation headaches. Some people get elevation sickness. You just kind of feel lightheaded. You stand up too fast and you get woozy. There's just like lots of things to factor in when you're not used to being in elevation. And so when I say elevation, I was backpacking over this last weekend and we slept at 10,500 feet. So we're in elevation and then we're summiting a mountain the day that we're in the backcountry. So you don't really get time to acclimate. You're just like oxygen sucked out of your body the second you start hiking. And so when I'm in elevation, I don't go anywhere without copaiba and I don't go anywhere without marjoram. So I do copaiba under my tongue and I do marjoram under my tongue. Both of them help so much with elevation headaches.
Wow.
Like amazing. Marjoram is great for pain and it's great for supporting the body that way. And copaiba is really great for some reason opening everything inside of your body.
That's a huge tip, Haylie. I mean, marjoram and copaiba together for elevation. I've never heard that. So that's incredible.
Yeah, it works every time.
Marjoram has specifics. Marjoram is really great with spasmodic pain. So any kind of cramps, whether it's the digestion or menstrual or a muscle cramp, marjoram.
Yes. Which I'm going to segue now because you mentioned that marjoram, when you go backpacking, if you are a backpacker, you take backpacking food and they've come a long way. If you haven't tried backpacking food today, you're missing out. Some of these are like home cooked meals and they just dehydrate them and they look like real food. You're just rehydrating them. But the mistake most people make is they don't let them hydrate long enough. And so then it's hydrating in your stomach. And so you're like, it kind of is like a funky situation. But the food's super good, but you can get gnarly digestive upset. And the misconception is that you're having like a digestive problem, but a lot of times it's just your intestines are inflamed because you're hydrating the food inside of you. And so I find that marjoram is also really great on the stomach when you're eating your food because it helps relax your intestine, relax the insides versus treating it like a digestive issue. Because most of the time you can digest that food. It's like freeze-dried, super good, healthy food. It's just not hydrated enough by the time you consume it. And so I use marjoram for that. And then I combine it with fennel if I do feel like I feel gassy or I feel like I'm bloated or anything like that. Fennel is one that I go to when I'm out there. I just like the taste of fennel. It's kind of a sweet treat. It's easier for me on the palate than Digestzen sometimes. That one's a little bit strong for me. So I don't always take Digestzen oil, but I always take Digestzen gel caps. And those are great to just take before you eat because it's just funky stuff. Elevation makes you like feel bloated and then you eat food that makes you bloated and you're just like a big bloat ball hiking around in the mountains. So Digestzen is like amazing for taking before you eat any of that food. And I have a tip for this. Sometimes it's like extreme when you swallow a Digestzen soft gel. I don't know if any of those of you listening or watching have done that, and you feel it open up and you're like, woof, it's like a little strong. You can poke a hole in it. I do this with like a safety pin or anything in my pack, and I will rub it topically on my stomach. So sometimes I bust those things open. They're just easier to pack when you're just taking some soft gels. And so I take those. And then other things that I'm concerned about are chapped lips, bruising, soreness. So I always take a bonus item that's Correctex, which Erin suggested for camping. It really should be in all of them, but Correctex is a great one. You get so chapped when you're out there. It's like no matter, there's not enough lotion or whatever on the planet to save you from getting elevation dryness. It just like gets you dry. So I do Correctex preventatively my whole hike in, like on my nose and a little bit inside my nose and on my lips, because I don't like being dry on my face. So Correctex is really, really awesome for that. And then it's your first aid. So any cuts, any cracking of the skin, you're gathering wood, you're chopping wood, you're using a hatchet, all of those things can be dangerous. So you're bound to get a cut or a scrape or something. So Correctex is great for that. And then I take lemongrass and balance. So those are like, lemongrass is everything soft tissue. So when you're hiking, it's like overusing the muscles that you don't always use, or hiking for a long period of time, it's overuse of the muscles, carrying all your kids' things when you're not used to carrying them on a daily basis. It's all the soft tissues and those muscle groups. So I'm using lemongrass on my muscles before and after I start hiking. And here's a cool tip. Lemongrass is warming. So we were in extreme situations over the weekend. There was a weird cold spout that happened, and it was 19 degrees at night where we were sleeping. So luckily we have great sleeping bags and we have insulated pads and we have all of the layers, but it was so cold. Like walking from the fire to your tent was like excruciating. And you have to get the sweat off of you. You know, you don't sleep well when you have sweats. We're jumping in an alpine lake in like 20 degrees just to get clean. We're freezing. Lemongrass, because it's warming, we all put it on our lower backs and it warmed us right up because it was just like hot. It was like a hot oil.
Oh,
so
wow.
That one, don't go too crazy, but we used it to warm the body because we were just freezing.
And if it's the opposite, you use peppermint for cooling.
Exactly. Totally. So I won't go anywhere without lemongrass, because we were like digging through the bag and we're like, what besides fire can we use to get warmer? And Erin has been apparently bit by some snakes and used lemongrass as a success story. No, just kidding. It's just really good for snake bites. So that's a good one, because you do encounter snakes when you're out in the wilderness. So that's a great one to use. Erin, do you know how you use that? Like just on the bite?
So I have not been bit by a snake. However, I have helped someone who was bit by a brown recluse spider. Lemongrass is super key, and it's the same reason you would use it in a snake bite. Lemongrass actually will draw the poison out. So if you get bit by something poisonous, whether it's a snake or a spider or a wasp, you're going to put lemongrass on it. I would do it every 20 minutes to really suck that out. If you brought that Doterra Mud Mask with you, I would do the lemongrass and then the mud mask. You could layer some frankincense and copaiba and lavender and peppermint, and you'll really take care of a super inflamed, ugly bite.
Yeah. And Erin, let's talk a minute. Let's bring in, we've been talking all the ways we use the oils 3 different ways: aromatically, topically, and internally. We've been talking about a lot of topical, a little bit of internal, right? But even you're doing all of that, let's say topically, where the sting has happened. Histamine is part of the body's response to a bite like that, a thing. And so it's getting red. So you want it, lavender is a huge antihistamine. You would want to rub it around as well with the lemongrass on the site, but then to do 1 or 2 drops of lavender in your mouth and actually up to the roof of your mouth with your thumb and hold it. It will really help your body deal with that whole systemic response to if it's venom, if whatever's going on with the histamine.
Yeah, and I can totally attest to a wasp bite. I have a lot of wasps on my property, and so I get bit pretty much every year. And a wasp bite is way more painful than a bee sting if you've ever had it. It's super, super painful, and nothing, just like Nikki was saying, nothing takes the pain away as well as that doTERRA mud mask. Like, I barely use the mud mask for my face. It's so funny, but I have it around for those wasp stings.
Well, it's French clay. It's an old, thing that we've always used in herbal medicine. We've used wonderful, high quality French clays for drying out the poisons and the toxins. Yeah.
It works so good. It takes the pain away. You do have to reapply it. Again, it's like every 20 minutes. And I think that's a key with essential oil use in general. If you're addressing something that's acute, like a bruise or a bug bite, or even you're coming down with something, do a little teeny bit every 20 minutes to kind of stay on top of it until you get over the hump.
Those are awesome tips. I'm going to remember this now.
Yeah. Do you have any things you want to wrap up? Because I know you had that's an interesting one. You had Correct X there, and you also had helichrysum in the carrier oil in the roller bottle.
Yes.
And that I don't think people have used that much, right?
The helichrysum roller is like incredible for every type of painful thing. And I just use it constantly on muscles, on painful areas, and I do it at intervals. So I'll use it on my calves and on my hamstrings before I start hiking. And I use it with Deep Blue before I go in. And I actually shockingly only take like one Deep Blue sample thing backpacking. I don't actually pack in Deep Blue because I can use marjoram and lemongrass and helichrysum roller and copaiba while I'm back there. So I end up the tube is a little bit hefty. Sometimes the stick is a little bit, it's all weight. It's all for weight. And so I actually bring the full bottles of marjoram, lavender, copaiba, and helichrysum. Those 4 are always full bottles because I do not want to run out of those. And helichrysum, I'll stop when we stop for lunch or we stop to take our pack off. I'll reapply helichrysum. And this is super cool because my friend went to a backpacking workshop with REI yesterday. And they told her your first backpacking trip and probably every sequential one after that, if you don't do it regularly, you are wrecked for like 4 days after you get back, just wrecked. And because of all of these oils that we use at intervals, like you said, Erin, it's very, very good practice to use them, less of them more often. So we're using them consistently the whole time we're backpacking. But we went to the gym this morning at 6:30 in the morning. We got home at 9 p.m. last night. So we're not wrecked at all. And we did like 3,000 feet of climbing and almost 20 miles in 3 days with 40 pounds on our backs. And we're fine, not even sore. So we're very, very diligent about using them when we're sitting around the campfire. Right when we get to camp, we put on oils.
Right. So you're saying preventative. You're not like waiting until you're sore and then say, oh, let me use the essential oils.
Yes.
No, we use them the whole way through preventative. I'm going to say that once more within that list, because what we're talking about, y'all, is just combining. And so when you have the oils there, you don't have to like make a blend, you have them. And so literally what we're saying is you have your bottle of, and in my, right, is this you do in the palm of my hand? This is how I do it. I'm going to take a couple drops of marjoram, a couple drops of lavender, a couple drops of copaiba. Now the helichrysum is in a roller stick with fractionated coconut oil. So I'm probably going to rub that on the spots that I want to apply the oils to first. So rub on the helichrysum, then take the mixture of the marjoram, copaiba, and lavender, and then rub those on top. And if you want, then the peppermint mints are always the drivers. They drive them in. So you add them last. So then if you want that sensation, some people are too cold. Peppermint can be cooling, or they don't like peppermint, or they don't want it on their hands if they can't wash their hands because they're camping. That's some issues with peppermint, but then you would put it on top. But it's a fantastic, lemongrass. You would definitely want lemongrass in there too. Okay, we forgot lemongrass. What else?
No, those are all super great tips. And I had one last testimony for peppermint. We summited a peak to 11,000 feet on Saturday to get a viewpoint. And there was a man up there with 2 other hiking buddies, and he was having like essentially an asthma attack, but he couldn't catch his breath. And it's just hard enough to breathe at that elevation, let alone exercise in it and hike in it. And so they were trying to get cell service to call for help because there's no cell service in the backcountry, and they didn't travel in with like an emergency beacon or anything like that. So I actually was able to put peppermint on his back and peppermint on his chest. And I don't care about touching people. I put it on my thumb and in his mouth to the roof of his mouth. And no joke, within like 10 minutes, he was totally able to hike himself back down to the same camp we were camping at. And so I gave them the peppermint to use for the next day, the 24 hours, because they were camping kind of 2 spots over from us. And then they hiked out with us. And so he didn't have to get helivaced out of there or have service called. And we just happened to be like near them and kind of seeing them in distress. So it was just such a cool, empowering thing that I'm like, well, this is why I carry essential oils.
Right. $20 versus probably 10 or 20
thousands.
Yeah. And someone did in the Aaron did. Let's mention helichrysum is a styptic as an herb. What that means is it stops bleeding very, very quickly. So if you are having a profuse bleeding situation and stuff, you want to be putting helichrysum right on the wound, and it is already diluted. And if I would suggest to do that in a wound.
And if you have kids, you should be having that helichrysum, because I mean, especially head wounds bleed a lot. And I have had my kids, I have 2 boys, and we have had times where we have been places where there have been ER doctors and nurses, like at a lacrosse tournament, my son gashed his head and they all said, oh, quick, I think you're going to have to go to the hospital. And we just grabbed, because my husband and I both do not leave without our keychain. Like, you might not be an extreme adventurer like Haylie, but I go any hike, any walk I go to, this tiny little thing doesn't weigh anything. It's always there with me. So we put this helichrysum, we said, just a second, watch this. We put a drop of helichrysum on my son's head. I can tell you those medical professionals are all on my doTERRA team now. They instantly said, I can't believe that happened. So, you know, I live in Lake Tahoe. I live at 6,000 feet. And when we go hiking, it's 8,000 feet. So if I have visitors come and I take them for a hike, I'm able to pull out that peppermint, pull out that breathe, and take someone who's used to living at sea level and give them a pleasant experience. So you don't have to be an extreme adventurer to have the benefits of these oils. I had thought of another tip I'd love to just share in here about lavender. Lavender is great for splinters. If you get a splinter, you don't have tweezers, you can put that lavender on, just keep applying it, and eventually that splinter will just expel itself from your body. And then, you know, lemongrass, you keep talking about lemongrass, is also really good if you have any issues digesting lactose. You can ingest, and, you know, if you're camping, you might have s'mores. Again, you might like be on a summer trip and indulging in a little more ice cream or something like that. And just some lemongrass in a capsule is best. But if you can't do that, put it in a shot glass of water, shoot it down, and it can provide a lot of relief.
Exactly. As you were talking, I was like, yeah, you don't have to be doing extreme backpacking. You just need to be, if you're at a playground, you know, if any person who's at a playground where there's kids or there's kids skating.
You can be an extreme playgroundist. Okay.
You can be an extreme playgroundist. You want these oils, right? I mean, people get boo-boos all the time.
Yes. So I think this would encourage people to think outside the box. Like, I poke holes in my Digestzen soft gels if I need the oil. Just like kind of let your brain wander with ideas with what you have. Like, we got really dry in the backcountry this weekend, but we had TerraShield spray, which is coconut oil based. And so it's really like moisturizing, you know, it's like oily. So we were actually using it as like lotion to try to hydrate our skin so that we weren't having cracking skin. So we were getting rid of the muzzies and hydrating the skin. We're like, what do we have that we could use? And that was one. So you kind of just like end up thinking that way when you're minimizing the amount of things that you're carrying.
Well, before we kind of wrap up, are there any shares that people are dying to tips think that they have that have come up that they'd like to share with us? We've been saying, yeah.
I was just gonna say lavender for allergies. So I go into anaphylactic shock with walnuts. And so I am not recommending, you know, not to have your EpiPen or whatever you need. However, I have been traveling and did not have an EpiPen. And I've used lavender for my reaction, and I just rubbed it all over my throat and dropped it in the back of my throat like every 2 minutes. I was doing it every minute. It was so scary. And then I was stung we stepped on a hornet's nest, and we were stung by got about 30 stings on our feet. And I wish I would have known and thought about the mud mask. I had it, but I was not home and I was in the forest, and I did have lavender with me. So using that, and then we use Tri-Ease soft gels. So they're really great for seasonal allergies, but they're also really phenomenal for antihistamine relief too. So if you're getting a wasp sting or hornets, I'm definitely, I hope that never happens again. It was one of the most painful things, but I was so grateful to have the lavender. So if you know anyone with pretty severe allergies, I just highly recommend always having lavender on you.
Thank you, Ari. Yeah. Wow. We have had a lot of sharing and a lot of amazing tips and expert information downloaded to us. So I want to thank Nikki Dean and wait a minute. Haylie Jones. I always think of Haylie's maiden name because I know her from that. But I got it out. I got the new name in. Sorry, Haylie.
No, yeah, I think you got it in the beginning. I don't think you messed it
I
up.
know I did. I had it written down in the beginning. But I didn't have it written down this time. I'm like, wait, I can't say it.
Now I sound like a celebrity.
Yes, you are. Thank you, beautiful, beautiful women. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. Now, for everyone who is listening, if you are in listen mode and you did not grab screenshots of the protocols, we want to remind you again to visit our website, hellovisionary.life, and sign up for our email list. On Wednesday, we send out the protocols and that we've been sharing on the call today and the pictures, and it's great. And you get a recording and the links and the resources that we've been sharing. All of that comes in that email. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this call. And Erin, are you ready to wrap up the rest?
I am. Thank you so much. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Erin Fugate, and I'm one of the founders of this beautiful community, the Visionary Leaders Community. I've been using essential oils for almost my whole life, and doTERRA specifically for 14 years. So I just want to give us some really quick essential oil education, especially if you're brand new. We promise to tell you the 3 cool things about essential oils. So number 1, they're safe. All these things we've been talking about today, this is so safe. And I love that because sometimes the alternative is not exactly as safe. I was just camping and the mosquitoes were everywhere. And I was looking around at the other campers, realizing they're spraying DEET all over their body. I didn't have to. I personally had lemon eucalyptus and it was working great. They're very effective. I don't have a single mosquito bite on my body. And all I did was spray lemon eucalyptus on me. They're affordable. That bottle of lemon eucalyptus, I actually think I got for free with points or some kind of gift from doTERRA. But even if I had paid for the bottle, I probably used 25 cents worth on this trip. Now, there are 3 ways to use essential oils. So we've talked about the 3 ways in this call. I'm curious if anyone can guess it. If you can, put it in the chat. We've talked about applying them topically, like if you have sore muscles or you have a bug bite or you have a stomach ache or headache. We've talked about taking them internally. This is if you want to protect your immune system or you ate something that didn't sit with your digestive system. And we have also talked about using them aromatically. Aromatically is going to be if you're smelling it. I know that my toddlers, so I have a almost 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they were crazy at bedtime on this camping trip. They were literally bouncing off the walls. I pulled out vetiver and peace and I slathered them in it. And the smell in the trailer was so beautiful and it really helped to calm everyone down. So that is aromatic. Now, we've talked a lot about doTERRA essential oils, and I don't know if we can ever talk enough about why doTERRA is so special, but I implore you, do not listen to this podcast and run to the health food store or the dollar store. Please don't go on the internet and Google essential oils because most of the stuff out there is crap, if I can say that. Almost 85% of essential oils sold on the marketplace aren't even plant material. And we're talking about plant material here. We're talking about plant medicine. So doTERRA is the only company in the world that goes through everything that needs to be done to make sure that the oils are pure and potent. Plus, they're completely dedicated to sustainability, and they are dedicated to leadership. This company is free of any outside debt, which means our mission to uplift the planet, specifically the people on both sides of the bottle, meaning you and me, and also the people who grow these beautiful plants and distill these oils. doTERRA is doing big things in the world. And if you want to dive into that, I would recommend that you go to YouTube and you look up doTERRA Co-Impact Sourcing, or you talk to the person who invited you to this call. You're also going to want to talk to the person who invited you to this call if you don't have doTERRA yet. Anyone here, put it in the chat if you're like, I don't have oils yet. You're going to want to reach out to them and say, you need to help me get started. And we would recommend that you get started with either the Aroma Touch kit or the Home Essentials kit, because this is going to give you almost all the oils we talked about today. Now, there are some special oils we mentioned, like the Mud Mask or the Helichrysum, the Marjoram. Those are a little more advanced, and we would recommend that you order those on your loyalty rewards order. So first step is get your starter kit. Then you can set up a loyalty rewards order, collect all these oils, and get some of those free products that I talked about. Now, next Monday at 5 p.m., we are going to be talking about summer skincare. doTERRA is launching a sun line. I can't wait for this. So on this camping trip that I was just on, I was using some other brand, and every time I put it on my babies and myself, I was like, I can't wait for the doTERRA sun care line. We're also going to hear from Contessa Beth about things you can do with oils to protect your skin and rejuvenate your skin. So I want you to take a moment right now and think to yourself, who do you know that loves to spend time in the sun? Who do you know that's always slathering their body with sunscreen, or their kid's body with sunscreen? Who do you know that's concerned about healthy cells in their face and their body? They need to be on the call next week. So write down their name right this instant and text them right when you get off this call, or right when you're done listening to this podcast. Text them and say, there's some information I want to share with you. Would you come to the call with me next week, Monday at 5 p.m.? They need to be here. This is too important not to share. And that actually brings me to a really important perk about your doTERRA membership. Did you know that if you share this information with a friend and they decide to get a doTERRA account, bring these oils into their life, doTERRA actually rewards you. They give you a commission. So you get paid to share the beautiful information of essential oils, and it can help you pay for what some of us might call an oil addiction, right? Even though none of us are ever upset about buying oils, because as Haylie said, they keep her sane, right? But you can get a rebate just by sharing. So reach out to the person who invited you. They will make sure that your account is set up in a way that you're totally ready to do that. So we love learning and growing with all of you. We hope that you experience deep wellness and sustained peace as you bring these oils into your home. I want to thank everyone who contributed to the call, and I can't wait to see you next week. Bye, everybody.